All right, so we're back on chat. Okay, so this is where we're at. So those are the two types, the qualitative and the quantitative. So underneath it, you just have a few things that, then when we talk of category of research, we'll talk of a descriptive research. Now, okay, I will explain it as I go on. Descriptive research, we have inferential research, right? Category of research. We have descriptive. Sorry, am I mixing it? Please, if I'm making any mistakes, somebody should please correct me. Oh. That's when everybody's keeping quiet. I'm thinking you have seen a guru. Please, oh. Okay, so I know we have a descriptive research. We
Sorry to
have,
take you. Sorry, you.
yes,
Question.
yes.
The quantitative research,
The what?
where is it used for? The
Quantitative.
geology and the studies. So where
Okay, quantitative is in applied
do we
science.
apply qualitative research? What kind of study do we apply to?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Any
Okay,
applied
apply
science?
historical studies, sociology. That's where you apply qualitative. But quantitative is basically applied sciences, and the usual ones we are doing, more of them, they are all quantitative because you are dealing with data and you are dealing with hypothesis.
Okay.
So once you start seeing data, hypothesis, all is a qualitative, is
All right. Thank you.
quantitative research. Okay, so are we on course? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Anyways, okay. So we are looking at the categories now. Categories of research. We have the descriptive. We have the D C. Sorry, I'm not very good at this.
Descriptive, inferential, that's where you stop.
No, sorry, this is not no inferential yet. Descriptive, correlational, causal, comparative, and experimental.
Comparative.
Causal, comparative. Cause.
Also comparative.
Yeah, like something is causing something.
Okay, an experimental.
Yes. So for descriptive, because you see, this question is it might look like a very simple question, but there's so much into it. So I don't know, I might not be able to answer all, but I'll give the best I can. For descriptive, the way I see descriptive is just like a snapshot. It's like you take a camera and you just snap something. Now, you don't know what's going on, but the only thing you can see is the image. That's what descriptive is all about. So descriptive just tells you, you describe what you see. You can't tell what's going on. So you get, you're in a flight or something, you snap the whole of Lagos. You don't know what transactions are going on. You don't know what interactions are going on. But all you can tell is this is the position of Lagos as at possibly so time, So that's what descriptive is basically. Snapshot. You can't tell what the interactions are. The interaction might have even finished before you took the shot. So you only describe what you have seen. And under this, there are three types, I think. Love. There are three types. We have the historical, we have the survey, and we have case study.
The second one, please.
Historical, survey, case study.
Okay.
So like we said, it's just describing. So historical is you're just telling what has happened in the past. Everything has happened. So it's contextual. So it's you can't use it for generalization, basically. You can only use it possibly to evaluate. They say when you look at the past, you can use it to tell what's going on and predict the future. Yes, so that's what historical is basically all about. Then for survey is more or less most of the researches we are doing it falls under survey. The reason being that in survey you are dealing with a large number, but at the end of the day, you now take, a sample or a small amount out of the whole number, and that's what you'll be dealing with. You understand? So it's like you have, something very big, just take a little part of it. And under survey, one of the, I think, tools that I usually use is the teleguided quiz. So most of the researches we are doing, like some of the ones we see in these questions that this man will give us, most likely falls under survey. Sometimes there are two kind of possibly tools that are used, but we'll look at that later. Then the case study. Case study is similar to historical, but case study is now talking about, historical is talking about history, past. But in case study, you are talking about maybe an event, a person, a situation. You understand? You're taking a particular case. So that's what case study is. It's just like historical. It's contextual as well, context specific as well.
Sorry? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
For the case study,
yes,
then it has to do with historical, and as well, it's just a side of something that has happened before.
Okay.
And a case was being applied to solve. So if such situation arises again, so that case can also be applied in solving such constraints. Okay. So that's why it is called a case study. Just an addition to what you said.
In law, we can call that one jurisprudence.
Exactly.
I don't know what that one means.
Oh, exactly. Mr. Shola, are you a lawyer?
I want that one. I don't know what that one.
Mr. Shola, are you a lawyer? You're saying
but I did business law when I was
sorry,
doing my
that one.
degree.
That one I didn't know how I passed.
Okay,
so I can still use that knowledge.
I didn't.
I can use that knowledge.
I don't know. I just knew I passed it. I didn't even know what I had. Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Shola. Please, we need all these kind of contributions. We have all given something additional now. So, like you said, please take notes. Let's just move further to the next one, which is correlational research. Now, for correlational, you're looking at relationship. That's why it's relation. Sometimes the names might just help us so that we don't need to cram much. Just have an idea of, from the name, you take your cue from there. So correlational will deal with relationships, association. You want to know if a relationship exists, how significant is the existence of that relationship, and also whether the relationship is positive or negative. So you see a boy and a girl working together. You really want to know whether something is going on. If finally you get to know that something is going on, you want to know how far they have gone, right? Then if how far they have gone, you want to know whether somebody is happy, somebody is sad, whether it's going positively or negatively. So I think that's the idea of correlation. All right. Then for causal comparative is more or less like correlation, but they say the ex post factor is similar to that of correlation. The only thing about causal comparative is in this one you are looking at the cause. That's why they call it causal. As you compare, you want to look at what is the cause. You understand? So it's said to be based on scientific observation, all right, to trace back what is, what's the cause when you're looking at the relationship of what's being observed. All right, so I think that's that on causal relationship. And the last one is experimental. Well, experimental is said to be the best scientific study, is what we are used to doing. And even this initial definition that man gave us, I think is the definition for experimental research, basically, because it's experimental research that has all these qualities in it. But I don't know why he wants us to use that, stick to that definition. So let's just stick to it. All right. So in experimental, you have a researcher manipulating variables, controlling variables. That's why we have all these, we have this control here. We have critical here, criticality here, we have control here. It's in experimental that you have more of, those things much highlighted. And for experimental, it said that there are two major conditions you need. Before you can say an experiment, you want to use it's an experimental research. There are two major conditions that it must pass, so to say. The first is randomization. I don't know how quick I can write this thing. Okay, let me use Word. Sorry. You see, sometimes randomization. Okay. Sorry, it's not complete. Add your N. Randomization. Then the second one is control of variance. Control of variance is the second one. So for any experiment to be, for any research to be experimental, these two conditions must be met. If they are not met, then it's not experimental. Now, of course, we know what variables are. Anything that varies is a variable. Anything that changes its state, so to say, is a variable. I'm taking the second one first. Control of variable. Sorry, I might not be looking at chat, so if anybody puts anything there, please talk. Please, I hope you have your ice cream and your biscuit and tea beside you. Okay, so control of variable. So basically, when we talk of variable, we're talking of anything that can change its state. All right? And basically, there are two types of variables. One is dependent, the other is independent. Now, how do you know which one is dependent and which one is independent, basically? So, I'm trying to see the best way to explain this. Can somebody help us here, please? I need someone else to talk, please. What's a dependent variable? What's an independent variable?
Independent variables.
Yes,
they don't vary. They are constant.
Okay.
They stand on by themselves, while dependent vary, changes.
Okay.
Can give us a practical example.
Like
okay, let me type this. If we have influence, all right, influence of sex, right, on marriage success, right, among young couples, Lagos. All right, so this is
yes.
All right, so like she said, your independent variable that doesn't depend on anybody, in fact, is the one that is causing that.
Let's mute our mic if you are not saying anything.
Please, if you are not talking, except there's no noise, you can leave your mic. Please, who is the person? I can't see the person. If you guys see, let me tell the person. I have God in front of me. I can't see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aladetum.
Thank you. All right, so that's what we have. Influence of sex on marriage. Now, sex is what variable?
The dependent variable. Influence of is dependent. Independent.
Why is he independent, bro?
You see?
Because that is or what are we saying?
Yes. What is sex, please?
We are saying something about the young couple in Lagos.
Yes. So this is it. This influence of sex on marriage success among young couples in Lagos. So which one is, what is sex? What variable is sex? What variable is marriage success?
sex to some extent is dependent. I'm sorry, it's dependent on the success of the marriage.
Please, who is that? Can I help us with this noise?
Sorry, bro, Femi. I think it was, there's somebody that is typing something there. He said you should please allow some people to. Hello?
To do what?
Marriage success depends on the sex.
Some people want to come into the class now, but you have not allowed them, please.
I'm trying to allow everybody to see.
All right.
I think
all
I've
right.
allowed everybody.
Please, some people are in the waiting room. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so someone just said something now. Do we agree with this?
That's
yes.
what.
Hello? I said the success of the marriage.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
The success of the marriage depends on the sex.
Okay.
So what we are saying is influence of sex is independent.
Yes.
Marriage success is a dependent.
Yeah,
Young couples in Lagos dependent.
Because
so
it's
we have
marriage.
two in.
Yes. No. Your couple in Lagos is not your independent too. Young couple in Lagos is your population. What's the name?
Dependent. Okay. Yeah.
No.
The real variables. The real variables here is sex and marriage success.
Is the influence of sex on marriage success?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the sex that is influencing the marriage success. It's sex that goes to tell to what extent the marriage is successful. So that's why the one that pushes or that causes the reaction is the independent. And the one that reacts or changes is the dependent.
First year, second year, third year.
Is it making any sense?
Psychological education.
Please, is it making any sense?
Yes.
I want to say something.
Yes, please.
Yes. The independent variable is always the cause. Then the dependent variable is the effect.
Okay, you are just re-echoing what you just said.
No, it's good. It's good. It's important. Let people say, because sometimes somebody might not even get what I've said since. So if somebody else talks, it's good. Thank you. I'm just laying that emphasis. Okay, cause, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm using my this thing. Cause and effect, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Any other one? Because we need to understand this. If we don't even understand this, then we can't even start talking about the calculations we are talking about, we want to go and do. These are the basics that will help us as we move further. So because we are saying influence of this sex influences, I think maybe another way of doing it, just change the English. You understand? How sex influences marriage or something like that. If you change it in your mind, it helps you to easily tell, okay, what is causing and what is the effect. Yes, please.
I think what the speaker is right, because when you look at sex, sex results to pregnancy, and pregnancy results to giving birth to young ones. And we all know that the success of every marriage depends on maybe the numbers of children you're able to have when you're married. Have any children?
Which side or which area is that one?
Subjective.
That is your personal opinion. That's your personal opinion.
If you don't have any child in marriage, does that mean it's not successful?
No, it's not successful, but to some extent.
That is your opinion.
Okay.
They believe that there should be children in such marriage.
Well,
you understand? So by that, they can measure some levels of success of that marriage.
To some extent, I agree with you. But there are many opinions that people have. Sex, whether it influences. So that's why when you are doing this research, you now start looking for how significant is it true? Is it really significant? Insignificant? So
early marriage on success, marriage success.
Well, Whichever one, they've written among young people. So when you are collecting your data, you will then later know whether this thing is true or it's just a perception. All of us, we can't really tell what it is until you do your research. And you carry out this research, you do it experimentally, you get your data, you use the right research design tool, and then you can now tell, based on that, you can now sit down with the facts and numbers and say, yes, sex influences marriage success, or you say, no, it does not. But as it is now, none of us can tell. We only all have ideas in our head. Okay, so let's just move forward. I think that's good enough.
Please, may I ask a question?
Please ask. We need to be faster.
Ask.
That's why I need people to talk fast.
The topic you've typed out now. What type of research can we
research
use to carry it out?
Yes, that's what we're saying.
From the types you listed out.
Okay, so if I decide I want to use,
and what?
Yeah, that's what if I decide I want to use experimental, I said it in sometime, I think in between, that sometimes two researches can actually be combined. You understand? Because of the kind of tools you will end up using later. When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. But basically with this now, it's more of a case study. Do you understand? Okay. It's more of a case study, even though you're going to go through the experimental route. It's more of, at the end of the day, your design tool will go towards case study, because you will need the kind of tool you use, or the kind of, what do they even call it? You need to get data, collect your data, do all this, whatever.
There's some people in the waiting room.
Oh, where is the waiting room here? Oh, that's the problem. Oh. Okay, let me see if I can. Oh, you see? Okay, thank you. That's the issue. That's why I wanted most people to have joined before. All right, I think I've allowed them. Okay, so can we move forward, please? Okay, so where are we now? Okay, so we've done that.
Sorry, please. Can you make someone a co-host so that the person can be admitting those people in?
Okay,
so that will not distract you. Just make someone a co-host. Someone should just signify, so you make
Governor.
I'm coming. I'll make the governor.
Governor, I want to suggest you are made the.
You are tight.
No, I'm very where I am now. I'm just managed to listen to
be the host.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, Ogashola.
Is Suleiman in the house?
Ogashola, you can be a co-host.
No, can you use someone else? I'm not.
I'm trying to see Ogashola's. This I'm not seeing you. Can you speak or raise up your hand? Let me even see where you at.
You mean myself?
Okay, Ashaolu, okay, I've seen you. Ashaolu, right? Okay. Make co-hosts.
All right, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think I've done that. Please and please, quite a number of us have some ideas about this topic. We are keeping quiet. Share what you know. You can only know more when you share. I beg us. Okay, so where are we now? So we've looked at that. So under the independent,
we are considering the conditions, two conditions random.
Yeah, so these are the variables we've talked about. Variability or whatever variable, basically controlling. We said the two conditions, yes, for experimental research is randomization and control of variance. Basically talking of the variables. Okay, so under this, apart from this independent variable and dependent variable, this independent variable is further divided. It's further divided into wanted and unwanted. Okay, so this further goes to wanted and unwanted. Now, the wanted is this thing that you have, which is this sex you've already mentioned. Now, there are some other variables that also influence marriage just as sex will do. Pari passu. They are also there, but they are not our
Major
variable of
focus.
study, yes. But they cost almost the same, they can take the same credit as what your wanted variable is taking. So for instance, can somebody give us an example? Okay, it's money.
That's what I wanted to say, money.
God bless you. Everybody knows. So here we have sex, and here we have money. Right. Okay.
Education.
Well, it can as well.
Marriage. Okay.
But we're saying something that would have almost the same, as in take practically the same credits as your wanted variable.
Okay, oh, bad in-laws.
You are right. You are right.
Just say in-laws now, in-laws now. You just bad.
Character.
The reason why we are doing this is, you know, in the exam, I've not seen the mass marking scheme, so, and I don't know if anybody has seen it. But in answering some of these questions, maybe if you put some of these examples and put this in, it might also go a long way to help the man know that you understand it, even if you don't fully answer all the questions. So I think it's important we take note. So this is your unwanted variable. Your unwanted variable too is further divided into two. The unwanted itself and the nuisance or intervening. This unwanted itself and nuisance. Nuisance, onirano, the onirano variable. Now, the nuisance is a bit farther from sex, so to say, from the independent variable itself. But you see, this unwanted is closer. So maybe we can look for something else. What else affects marriage, but it's not so evident? I don't know. Can somebody give us an example, please?
Accommodation.
Ma?
Trust.
Infidelity.
Infidelity.
Trust.
Don't you think
no.
Infidelity
That
and
one
sex
is
will
even
stay by side?
They are nearer to.
Infidelity
Friends can get married.
Ma?
Good hygiene.
Friends.
Friends or hygiene. So we can put something like that here. Friends or hygiene. They are all nuisance. Nuisance friends. They have nuisance values. So that stays here. Okay. So your real unwanted is still money. So this unwanted itself is closer to the wanted, but the nuisance is a bit farther. So I think that's
Proper communication.
that can also be it. That can also be it. So just have an idea. I'm just doing this so that we all have an idea of why they are all looking like that. Okay. So this is like the tree. You have your independent, dependent. Under independent, you have your wanted, unwanted. Under unwanted, you still have two again, the real unwanted one and the nuisance. Okay. So I think that's that. Then when we talk of randomization, I have tried my best to try and understand this randomization. I think my explanation might be okay, but if it's not okay, please, I beg you add to it. Okay, randomization. Sorry, this writing is not good. Random. Sorry, love. Can you hear me with the mouse? Thank you. Okay, so randomization. So randomization is basically you have samples that you want to create an equilibrium on. Basically, what do I mean by that? You want to ensure equalization on your sample. For instance, if we say you want to take a sample from because behavioral science, like I said, is one of the most difficult understanding human behavior. So in most of these cases that we are dealing with, for instance, I think we might use an example. If you take rabbits, you take some rabbits from from Lagos, you take some rabbits from Ibadan. Let's say our population is Nigeria. Now, if you take from Ibadan, from Lagos, from different places, they grew up in different locations, they've been fed differently, their behavior will be different. So how do we, because for the test now, we want to make sure that we have an equilibrium, that there are really no significant differences among them. So what do we do? How do we get a sample that will give us that quality? That's what randomization is all about. So what you do with randomization is you do 3-degree randomness. You random 3 times, basically. So let me say this is the population that I want to treat. I want to treat this population or program this population. All right. Now, in this population, they are all scattered all over the place, right? Now, for me to take my sample to have an equilibrium sample that will have almost the same characteristics, even though they are different now, what I do is I randomly pick a sample. Is somebody getting what I'm doing? So I randomly pick a sample. Then from these samples that I've randomly picked, are we together? From this sample I randomly pick, I randomly treat this sample that I picked. Does somebody get what I just did? So this is the original sample, the population. So if you put here, you put your treatment or treatment population, right? Treatment population. Okay. This is a population that is randomly treated. You are not even treating all of them. That's why it's 3 random. You are randomly treating this in the first place. So it's not as if you're even treating all of them. So these are the ones you are randomly treating. There are more I'm not putting there because those ones, let's say the population is everything. But these are the ones I've picked after my random treatment. They are still in the population, but I'm treating them randomly. Okay. What I now do is that I now pick sample from this random treatment. So this sample I've picked now, if I can bring them to a different side, right? These are the samples. So even me, I might not know how to write the man's English, but once I know this one, I can draw this diagram in the exam. Then I'll start trying to explain what I know. So with these are the samples that I randomly picked, right? Randomly selected. Out of these 4 samples I randomly selected, I now randomly treat them again. So you see that I've done treatment twice, but I've randomly, whatever I've done, the random there is 3 times. So that's why it's called 3-degree randomness. Sorry, randomness. Does someone get what I've just explained?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, please come again.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
This is a sample, right? Population, sorry. This is a population. Let's say this population is the whole of Lagos State, right? Sorry, just a minute. Let me see if I can use my sorry. Okay, better now. Okay, so this is Lagos State. Okay, it's my population. The whole of Lagos State is the population. So what I would now do is I randomly treat this population. Treatment, another word for treatment is program. So let's say everybody in Lagos has been behaving erratic. So I randomly treat this person, this person, this person, this person, this person out of the whole of Lagos. Are we together? Now, these are the only people I've treated. Do we understand? Now, out of these people I have treated, the remaining people I didn't treat, they are here. I didn't treat this person. 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 Are we together? Now, these are the treated ones. These are the untreated people. Okay? Now, out of this whole one, now, I now pick a sample randomly. Now, you know, if I'm picking a sample randomly, I could pick this person. I could pick this person. I could pick this person. And I could pick, let me say, this person. Out of my random picking of this population. So I picked a sample randomly. Yes. So this is the population I have. This is the sample I've picked from the population. Now, out of this sample I picked from the population, I picked this star, this, and this, right? So this is the random sample. Random. Sorry, this thing. If we're in class, it was better. Random sample. Okay. Are we there? This is your random treatment. Right? Right? Random treatment, random sample. Now, out of this random sample again, I'll now do another random treatment on this sample. So my random treatment now can be, maybe this will be, I'll now do another random treatment on this. So maybe on this now, what I'll now have picked is this and this. Only these two are treated. So that is what's called randomization. So I have a random treatment of a random sample. Do you understand? Out of a randomly treated population.
At least 3 times, 3 degrees.
Yes. Does that make any sense? Please, somebody should talk. Let's move forward.
Yes, it does.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
So we have random treatments, right? So when if you draw this diagram, if you can remember it, it helps you. So random treatment of random sample, random treatment of random sample out of random treated population. So that's why it's 3-degree randomization and it brings about equilibrium. Basically, that's what it's all about. So I think that's it. Then the experimental research itself is divided into 2. We have the true experiment and the quasi-experiment. Now for the true experiment, it's a perfect condition, so to say, and is used in applied and physical sciences. Okay, in true experiment, you see this randomization we are doing, there is part randomization and there is complete randomization. That I really don't know much about now, but in true experiment, they say you do complete randomization, and in quasi-experiment, which is said to be not a perfect condition, all right, and is used in behavioral science because you really can't tell the behavior. You can take rabbits and control them, but it's difficult to take human beings and control them. So quasi is used for behavioral sciences and education. But the true experiment is what you use for, you know, all these experiments that they do in microbiology, tests for drugs and all those things.
Okay.
True experiments that they do with that. But quasi you do for what's the name? So I think that is that. Okay. I think that's that on that question. Let's move forward. I hope there's another thing I want to. Please, where we are at now, I hope everybody we are together. Please, can somebody add to what we have said before we move on? Or can somebody just quickly say what they've gained so that we're moving on?
Please, I don't really understand the quasi. Can you please come?
The what?
Quasi experiment.
Quasi. Quasi yes. is not, it doesn't have a perfect situation. Basically, that's what it is. It doesn't have a perfect situation. The true experiment have a perfect situation. If I take rabbits, I can put rabbits in a cage, control them, give them food. After a while, they adjust, you know. But human beings are difficult. So you can't use true experiment in behavioral science or for human beings. Do you understand? You can only sorry, who is that one? So you can only use what's the name? You can only use quasi in that regard. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's look at question number 1 of that same year, 2018-2019. Some of these questions will be in other years as well. So if we'll be able to answer that, I think it goes a long way to help us. You can just look at we'll look at other years that we have those questions. If we've answered it, we just keep it. Okay, so let's do with number 1. This is a question that I think usually comes out, well, from what I've been seeing, and I think it will be good for us to try and tackle it as well.
Sorry, please, which year are you treating?
2018-2019.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir?
Okay.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Fatah. Sir, what did you say?
Sir. I said, is it from the past question people told us to get it or from LMS? I want to know where we get
the question. Past question that we got to.
Okay, past question.
We're using the man's textbook, the man's notes, and past question.
Thank you.
So we're just trying to see how we can, deal with all of them together. Okay, so let's look at number 1. Can somebody read, please?
The Lagos State Governor is worried. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
The Lagos State Governor is worried about woeful performance of senior secondary school students in Lagos public schools. Stakeholders have identified school indiscipline as likely cause of the prevailing situation. As a consultant, do the following. 1. State appropriate topic for the study.
Okay. So can somebody tell us what's the appropriate study? How do we, okay, let's go to maybe our notebook. Let me see what dates. Maybe I can get how to. Okay, so look at.
It will be like, let me try.
Look
like,
at dates on. Sorry, you continue. But if you have your notes, if you wrote note on the 22nd of February 2020, check that note, or you go to the textbook. If you have the textbook, go to the textbook, and sorry, go to the textbook page 18. Page 18. So that we'll not just be doing dumping and somebody won't even understand at all. Okay, all right. So somebody is saying something. Yes, let's go.
So I said the influence of indiscipline.
Yes.
On the woeful performance of students of Lagos public school, senior secondary school.
Okay, so you said the influence of.
Did you get me? Is my background not noisy?
It's not. It's okay.
I said okay, all right. The influence of indiscipline on the woeful performance.
Yeah.
On the woeful performance of senior secondary school students in Lagos public schools.
Okay, for those who don't even understand how to do it at all, I think let's take it from the foundation. When you want to have a title for a topic, what are the basic steps? What do you need to know? That's why I said anybody who has a textbook can look at it if you've not been following the class before. At least it will help you to have an idea. So there are 4 basic things we need to do here to have. The first one is, what's the first one? Can somebody help us?
State appropriate topic for the study.
No. The 4 things.
Is it not the question?
Yeah, for you to get the appropriate topic, there are 4 steps. There are 4.
The signpost.
Signpost.
Independent variables.
The variables.
Page, please.
Variables.
Page
Yes.
18. Page 18.
Page 18 on your textbook. Yes. Next one.
Population of study.
Okay. Thank you.
Population of study and location. Area of study.
Area. Okay. Thank you. So basically, I call, well, for me, I call this one the purpose or the why. This is the where. This is the I think this is the what, and this is the who. Now, for you to have a topic, these 4 things must be there. Why the study? What are the elements or variables that you'll be looking at? Who is the study all about? Where is the study taking place? So these are the 4 things. So I think the first thing is, so that you don't get yourself confused, if you look at the why from that topic, Lagos State is worried about woeful performance of senior secondary school students. So stakeholders have identified that the likely cause of the prevalence situation of the blah, 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 blah. So now we're looking at why. So why are we studying? Why? Can somebody help us with that?
Because we want to know the cause of woeful performance of the students.
We want to know the cause. So whether cause usually is either influence, is usually either effect, sorry, this thing, yeah? Effect, right? Influence. Which other one, please? Impact.
Reason.
Okay. Impact. Okay. Which other one? I think there are about
Reason.
4 major ones the man mentioned.
Relationship between.
Okay. Relation. Thank you. Okay. So if we look at this now, let's even first leave this one. Okay. So what are our variables?
The governor.
Woeful performance and school indiscipline.
Woeful performance.
School discipline, Abi? And woeful performance.
Woeful performance.
Okay. Performance. Okay. So who is this study directed at? Who is this study directed
The secondary school students.
Which secondary school students? Okay, secondary school students, Abi? Okay. Okay, secondary school, SSS. So
Senior.
where is it taking place?
Yes.
I think Lagos State.
Okay, so Lagos
Public schools.
Lagos
Public Schools.
You see, the reason why I try to do this is you can be in a rush and you will, because you are rushing, you will miss it. And you'll have thought you've gotten it and you move on. Once you move on, whether you get them or you miss them, now when results come out, you know. So I think it's best you do this so that when you want to pick, you know what you're doing. Now, why don't we have it as effect of, okay, this variable, you need to know which one is independent and which one is dependent. Which one is independent, which one is dependent? What's affecting what? What's the cause? What's the effect?
Indiscipline is the cause.
School indiscipline is the cause. So woeful performance is the effect. Okay, so this then becomes your what? Dependent. This then becomes your independent. Right? Are we together? Hello?
Please, I don't really get you, please.
Which part don't you get, please?
The indirect, where you started with the direct aspect and the indirect aspect.
Okay. Please, if you don't understand, quickly talk so that we need to discuss and move on. This topic is quite large. So let's just try to do the best we can today.
Please, okay. I think the dependent and independent, please. Okay. If you can come again, sorry for that.
Okay. So they said that if you look at the question, They said stakeholders have identified school discipline as the cause. And we said independent variable is the one that doesn't shape, is the one that affects the other person. Independent is, it doesn't depend on anybody. It's the one causing problem. Dependent is the one that depends on independence. So it's the one that is affected or changes. Is it making any sense? Those that ask the question, please.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So since schooling discipline is the one that is affecting or causing a change or letting us know something is going wrong with performance. So schooling discipline becomes our independent, and school performance becomes, woeful performance, sorry, becomes our dependent. Because woeful performance depends on school
discipline.
Indiscipline, sorry, not discipline. You see, that's why I say let's write all these things so that when you are rushing, you won't just rush and just write what is not there, or you don't write it like, so if you state it like this, when you want to write your whatever, then it makes sense to you. So this is the first thing we need to know. Now, usually, the independent comes before the dependent when you are writing your topic. So now, if I say the effects of school discipline on woeful performance among, right, senior secondary students in Lagos Public School. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
So the effects of, but you see, people are not talking now, and I want people to talk. Why did I use effects? Is it correct to use effects? If I say the influence of this, the impact of this, the relation of this, I can use any of them, but which one is correct among these four? I need us to answer now. I need people to
influence.
Influence or impact.
Please, why have you chosen influence?
If we use influence or impact or effect or relationship, they are all the same thing as the why.
Okay, thank you.
Independence, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Somebody say only influence.
So, excuse me.
Yes, please.
Influence, because it's an event that has happened already. Effects is used for events that are yet to happen.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And relationship between is used for what's it called now? To maybe you're trying to determine a relationship between two things for causal, comparative, or correlational.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think we are in the right direction based on what I also understand. Each of these is tied to a type of research. So it's the type of research you're doing that will determine what you will end up using. This alone can make somebody miss this whole question. Because if you go and use the wrong why, then the whole whatever is wrong, even though these other ones are right. So I think for the purpose of this, our exam, I don't know if the man will tweak the question, but if he sets questions like this, just stick to influence, basically. Why? Because influence is used for descriptive design. In this kind of design, like somebody said, it has already happened. The stakeholders have just identified what has happened. So they are just trying to say, okay, please, let's know if it is true that is the cause or is not. That's what we are only trying to find out. When you use effects, when you are saying you're using effects, then the kind of research you are talking about with effects is effect and impact has to do with oh my god, I forgot the type of research that it is. I think, but basically, like somebody explained,
experimental. They have to be experimental.
It looks scientific.
Good, because what happens there is you now have to start manipulating the variables. That's why I said the other time that sometimes we combine two research methods together, but one is more predominant, or So in this case, it's the case study, so to say, because we are under the descriptive, all right, that we are dealing with. And here we can only use influence. If you use effect, it is wrong. If you use impact, it is wrong. If you use relationship, it is wrong. So read the question properly, because if the man changes this question, he might end up having to change the why.
Okay, now, excuse me.
Yes, please.
If the man now change the question, as in, if it is future statements, we are supposed to use like effect, have
yes, something that you have to now, the variable, you have to tweak the variable. Like, he made some examples in class that if you say the influence of pregnancy on academic performance, he said you can't start, because when you want to do the experiment, you now start making people get pregnant. It's not possible now. What you have to do is you come to class, look at the pregnant people, you look at their results, you start getting data on how they come early to whatever, and all those things. That's what you make in making your conclusion. Do you understand? So you are not going to do anything on the variable, but for effect, you are going to work on the variable. You are going to be manipulating the variables till for you to have the experiment.
So at what occurrence or stage are we going to use that impact there?
Impact, like I said, is experimental. Just look at, I think what you should look at more often in this kind of question is look at the variables and ask yourself question. They said somebody's worried about something. It has already happened. So when something has already happened, you can only describe it. So for descriptive, just stick to influence.
Sorry, in this case now, could you please tell me the variables? I think you mentioned it before, but I missed it.
Okay. We have school in discipline and we have woeful performance. Now, it is the school in discipline that is affecting the students' performance to become woeful. So school in discipline is the standalone. It's the one that's pushing the performance. Do you understand? So it's like this is pushing this. So this is dependent on this. You understand? B is dependent on A. So the person pushing is the independent. The person they are pushing is the dependent.
So at this stage, how many of the questions have we answered?
Well, we are still answering. God help us.
Have we answered that state appropriate topic for the study?
That's the question we're answering. That's the question we just finished answering, basically.
So what's the right answer now for there?
Is the influence.
Just influence as a word.
Influence. That's why I wrote all these things out for us, so that we can now see it ourselves. The influence of school indiscipline on, sometimes you can have more than two variables. So you need to know which two variables are independent and all that. On woeful performance of, among SSSS, right, senior secondary school students in Lagos public school. Please, are we clear on this? Let's quickly move.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
Why among of?
Well, I don't know whether off is wrong, but from what I've seen in the man's book, it's more of among the man is using.
I think that among is for when you are sharing among two people. That's between. When they are more than two, it should be among. We are talking about them among these people.
Okay, so are you saying among is wrong or is right?
Among is right.
Okay.
Because the students, they are more than two.
Okay. Oh, okay.
If you are talking about two people, that should be between. Okay. When you are talking of more than two, that is among.
Thank you.
Semantics.
Thank you. Even me, I don't know. I just know that it's among the man.
What is the final this thing now? The final
that's what you are seeing here.
Everybody's waiting for final.
Of I don't want everybody to wait for 5. The man can change anything. No? Understand it. That's what I'm pleading.
Hello,
The influence of school indiscipline.
Hello.
On.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes.
I want to say
I just
something.
believe we need to. Sorry. Hello. We need to understand the concepts. That's just what matter. Just an advice. We need to understand the concept so that whichever way the question comes, we'll be able to answer it effectively.
That's why I'm trying my best to break it down to my own best knowledge.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hello? I think the among there is because we pick variables, our data or collection of data from different schools. So I think
okay, so that's why it's among. Okay, another reason. Thank you.
It's still the same thing.
But
that
what I'm saying, what of
the schools are many.
Because
off
is the one given to us in the question.
In which question?
Number 1.
Where did you see off? Okay, woeful performance of senior secondary school, Abi?
Yes. Yes.
Well, even the one he wrote in his textbook, one sample he wrote in his textbook is among that he used. Like I said, I don't know why he used among. I'm just being sincere with everybody. So I'm using among because that's the trend I've seen in his book. So if anybody has a contrary opinion, you think you can prove it, please help us. I might be thinking I'm even right. And
Please, among is correct. It's grammatically correct.
We'll go and stand before God, like Baba will say. Okay, so can we move to the next thing? The next is briefly state the problem associated with this study. Can somebody explain how we get the problem, please? Problem of our study. Some people are very intelligent in this group. I know we are all, but some people have an intelligence for this kind of thing, and they are not saying anything. I don't think it's right. Please help us. All right.
The problem should be what is the cause of the woeful performance, I think.
Okay. The cause of the woeful performance,
which is school indiscipline.
Okay, so how do you state that kind of problem? How do we state that kind of problem?
First, we look at what the problem is, which is indiscipline.
Okay.
Then how is indiscipline a problem?
Okay.
Then how is the problem? It's students' academic performance.
Okay.
The problem is how is it the problem is the effect on the student performance. Why is it a problem? We look at that. Then what factor leads to the problem?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, we are still on the right path. But unfortunately for me, I just stumbled on it in my notes. And I think what the man began to talk about was, for you to talk about a problem, you are not only looking at the topic itself. You are looking at a problem associated with the study. Now, it's not problem associated with your topic. It's with the study as a whole. So what I noted that day when he was speaking is that you look at woeful performance. All right. You look at woeful performance as or you take woeful as a focus. Now you look at all the kind of things that could cause woeful performance in school, in Lagos State School. So you write them and state something like, okay, we could talk about education generally or schooling system generally, and talk about the kind of challenges that creates or that brings about woeful performance. If you list them out, like we said, all those other unwanted rules and things like that, you can mention them. Once you mention them, you now go and talk about the reason why you have chosen school indiscipline over all of them. Because you see, he said the reason why he said the problem is one of the most difficult parts of this research, writing a research, because that's the opening floor. That's what tells the reader or interests the reader and it must make contribution to study. So if there are existing things before, you are saying, okay, all these other things causes this, but school indiscipline is, for you, you are choosing school discipline because of so reason. The other causes are not, how do I call it, are not seen to be significant. You are focusing on this because it carries more weight, and you make your justification. So I think that's what this problem part is all about. So I might not write any problem for anybody because I don't want to give anybody any problem.
Why now?
No, the problem should be what.
It's not good. It's not good to give anybody any problem. We are with you, brother Femi. Move on.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Problem is just problem.
Discuss it.
Yes, you are saying, okay, in Lagos State, there have been different issues as relating to student performance, especially that creates woeful performance in school. All right, Lagos State, blah, 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 blah. And part of this could be, or has been, or researches have shown, because he also said under this problem, there must be a theory guiding. That's the only part I have a challenge with, because if I'm writing an exam, I'm not going to go into the library and be looking for topics, theories. So he said existing theories, you must be able to, because what you're trying to do is you want to add to existing knowledge. So you are saying this kind of things exist, but you have picked this one. You know, in his last class, he taught us, he said that when you are done, you are going to write a statement or something to tell that, okay, you have chosen this part of the study. However, there are still all these other areas which upcoming researchers can look at. Do you understand? So in this one, you are saying, okay, there are many areas where they have researched this, and there are many areas that could affect students' woeful performance. It could be emotional issues, it could be financial issues, family issues, economic issues. Just state them. All other variables that comes to your mind, state them. But you say above all this, you are choosing, do you understand? You are choosing school indiscipline because you believe that school indiscipline has is a weightier matter. I'm trying to see, can somebody help me look at his notes if you can see where he wrote about the problem? I'm trying to see if I can see it.
So what he said is build rhetorical questions,
okay,
and provide adequate answers to them.
Okay.
What is the problem? Why is it a problem?
Look at
how is it a problem? Then do not write the questions, but answers to the question.
Thank you. Then part of what I wrote, I don't know, it said establish that there are so many issues and problems in the world, but your topic is most important. Hence, you are attending to it. Then it said marshal evidences to support what you are saying. So there are many questions, and you are answering all the questions, and you are saying there are many issues, but this one is of topmost priority and importance, and that's why you have chosen it. I think that's what the problem is all about. So my advice is you can look at maybe Google researches that other people have done. You'll see problems. It will give you an idea of how to write a problem. I can't say this is one way to write a problem, basically. Now, and I don't think it's a 2-line or 3-line sentence. So writing a problem, if you look at most books, writing a problem can take like a paragraph where you have maybe 10 lines, so say. So it's not just something you just bounce on and say, oh, the problem is, okay, you have a question, why does indiscipline affect this? You say, okay, because teachers are misbehaving, if teachers don't teach them well, is it based on the teachers, is it based on students, is it based on school rules, is it based on this? So at least, but it must be something comprehensive, basically. I think that's what I just want to emphasize on that. Please, can we move on? Maybe God willing, if we still have time to have another before the D-Day, maybe there might be samples. We can look at some other things. Okay, so third question, formulate at least two hypotheses. Two hypotheses. So can somebody formulate hypotheses for us? What are the two major hypotheses that you should even formulate in this place in the first place? Hypothesis, what are the two major types of hypotheses? Yes? Hello?
The research hypothesis and the null hypothesis.
Okay, so the research or alternative hypothesis, research or alternative, right? And the null. Now, what is the null hypothesis? What does null mean? Okay, let's start with research. What does research hypothesis mean? Research hypothesis is the hypothesis that supports this motion, this topic. You say influence of school indiscipline on woeful performance, right? So if you are saying the research hypothesis, you are making a guess to support this motion. It's just like debate. I support this motion which says. So you are saying there is significant influence. That's just your whatever. Okay. So you are saying there's significant influence.
So
there's significant influence
like that.
Of, no, you continue now. There's significant influence of students in discipline on this, just write the whole sentence fully. But just before it put there is significance.
Yes.
Before this influence, and write on. Meaning that when you carry out this research, you end up getting this topic. You end up having what you have stated in the topic, that there's an effect. And
sorry, excuse me, please.
Yes, please.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Hello.
Proceed, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
All right. Okay, I don't think you have to put the word. Yes, the what significance or insignificance comes after the research has been conducted and you have your answer. That is when you can say if it is significant or not significant. So when you are told to write an hypothesis, the first thing you have to say is the influence of blah 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 on this. You state it. Then the null will be like.
Hello, is anything wrong? I'm not hearing anything again.
Check from your end. We are hearing. You can hear you.
Yes. Then the null will now be something opposite that negates what you've written initially. So from what I read, I don't think you have to put the word the significant, that the influence of something is significant, or no. That's not how to write.
Okay, let me explain.
I don't know if you get on.
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But let me explain why I think it's like this. You know, when you begin to do those calculations that man is doing, by the time you are done with those calculations, if it is significant, you will say, therefore, we support the null hypothesis. Or we don't support the null hypothesis or something. You understand? You know, after we've done all those calculations, we always come to that point where we make that inference, where we make that conclusion. So you see, in the beginning, if you look at it, I think he wrote something like that in his book. Let me just see if I can see where he wrote that sample. I saw something like that. I think I saw a hypothesis.
Hello, sir.
Okay, I'm hearing. Okay, can we go to page? Can we go to page 32 on the master's book?
Page what?
Page 32.
All right.
Is somebody there? Sorry, I don't know the name of the lady that was talking about the null and the. Please, are you on that page now? Look at the top of the page. That's the first thing you see there. I also had some confusion.
What I can see on my own book, it's research, design, and methodology.
Page 32.
No, you're not on page 32. Now that's 33. Page 32 is the other one.
32 is just the other side on top. Can somebody read it, please?
There is a significant influence of truancy on academic achievements.
Again,
and there is a significant influence of sex on academic achievements of students who are trans and those who are not.
So now he gave two hypotheses there. And the two hypotheses he gave, they are
sorry,
both...
Sorry, Rafemi, I
my
can't
own
get
32
you.
is different.
My
please.
own is quite different too. My own title says research, design, and methodology.
Okay,
yes.
go 31 then. Go 31. Then it's like a page before it. Have you seen the page before it?
31 is empirical literature review.
At the end of
At the end of it now. It should be the end of it.
Examples of sequence of literature review. That's the end.
Oh yeah, read to the next page. Now,
what page are you now referring to? Please let us be on the same page.
The back page of it.
30.
Page
30.
Okay, so if you look at it, it said the topic, example of sequence of literature review. It said the topic is the influence of truancy and sex on academic achievement of Lagos State students in mainland local government area, Lagos State, right? So look at his hypothesis that he chose. He chose two hypotheses. The significant influence, he just continued the story. If you go back to that example, he just said the significant influence of truancy, he picked one of the variables. Because there you have
two independent variables.
Truancy and sex. On academic performance is a dependent variable, which is one. So what he did when he was writing the hypothesis, he picked the hypothesis on just one first. He said the significance of influence of truancy on academic performance. He only picked that one. He didn't pick sex in that first hypothesis. Then he now picked the second hypothesis, and there's also an influence of sex. Do you understand? You see, he now picked the second one as a second hypothesis.
Please put off your mic.
Sorry, does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
So this is what I saw that made me make that conclusion, because initially
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
I believe the uses of that significant and insignificant is very essential.
Okay.
It's very essential when you are explaining some things. In every field, there are some key terms, terminology that must be used when you are trying to give a descriptions of something. That also has more, more meaning to what you are trying to explain. Okay. So which is very, very essential.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Basically, the reason why I came to a conclusion that it's okay to do it like this after looking at the man's book is because even when he was doing the calculations, you see that when we get to the end, we will say things like, we can accept the null hypothesis because, he said once your calculated value, right, is lower than your your critical value.
The tabulated value.
If calculated value is lower than critical value, you say you choose the null hypothesis. That is okay.
The null, yeah.
But if it's higher, you pick the research hypothesis, because initially what you are trying to say in the research is there's something going on. So, but from your calculation at the end of the day, you must be able to show that that thing is significant. So that's why in picking your hypothesis, you are saying one is null, you are saying the other is research. At the end of the day, it will fall on either. So you either pick this or you pick that. So that's what.
Please come again.
Okay.
Please,
So the way the research is, at the end of the day, You are going to do calculation based on data that you have gotten, right? Now, from the calculation that you will do, you will either be supporting either of the motion, which says it is significant or it is not significant. Now, we said in that calculation that if your calculated value is lower than your critical value, which you got in the table, once it is lower, you say it is null. That means it didn't even meet up, it didn't catch up with the main critical. The main critical value is what will determine whether it's significant or not. So if you are lower than critical, it's not significant. If you are higher than critical, it's significant. So all those grammar that you used to say after the calculation, this is based on this, and then it's significant. That's what he's saying. So you are saying, oh, my calculation meets with standard. Standard is the critical value. My calculation is below standard. That means
so if it's lower than critical, you accept or you reject?
You accept null. You accept null because null is like 0. It didn't happen. So it's like your critical point is like the center point that determines whether you move forward or you move backward. If you are below critical, that means it didn't happen. If you go above critical, that means it happens. You understand? For instance, if you have, let me just use an analogy. If you have something like this, which we call the number line in those days, if you come here, it's positive, right? If you come to this side, it's a negative value, right? So we are saying if this is the middle point, this is the main point, this is what determines whether the research you are doing really is correct. It meets with this topic that we are saying, the influence, whether this influence is really an influence that we should even consider. If it falls on this side, we'll consider it. If it falls on this side, that means it really is not what, at the end of the day, the research has just shown us that everything that the suggestion says is not correct. So it's null. This is null. And this is the real research. This is critical. So your hypothesis, if it's just we are dealing with one variable each, like we have it here, then you can just do your the influence of and significant influence of and insignificant influence of, or there's no significant influence of. I think that's the best way to go about it. Are we okay on that?
Yeah, I said two hypotheses. So one will be the significant,
yes, one will be
the
that.
other one will not.
If you look at that textbook, it's the same way you wrote it. One will be that there is significance, blah blah blah, and the other you can say there's no significance.
There is no significance. Okay.
Yes. So by the time you finish your calculation, if it's a calculation, you will know whether you will pick there's no significance or you say there's a significance. Are we good to go? Hello?
I'm lost.
Where are you lost?
Please. Okay. The other person answers first.
Please, where are you lost?
The area of the null hypothesis. That's where I'm lost.
Okay, the area of the null hypothesis, right? Yeah, I have drawn the line. This is your critical point. Critical. Right? Your research says there is influence of. Sorry, please. Just a minute. Sorry, please, can you just give me like 3 minutes? Let me just on the generator, please. Please, anyone who understands can explain to those that need help while I just get before the system goes off, please.
Please, did he mention any type of any? Did he mention any hypothesis? They said formulate at least 2 hypotheses to be treated. Has he mentioned any hypothesis?
Research. I said research hypothesis for the first one, and the second one is no.
Okay. I thought maybe they wanted us to say there's a relationship, there's a significant relationship, influence. Okay, I get now.
All that, whether it's after you have calculated, you now justify the statement, the hypothesis you had put forward. That okay, maybe after calculation, there was a significant or there was a null hypothesis. It's at the end. Okay. But you have to state it first. Right. You have to state it first before you start your calculation. So that is what you are working on. You want to find out whether there is a relationship, whether there is a significant impact of something on something. That's research. So but the null, whether there is no relationship. Null means whether there is no relationship.
Okay. So the 2 hypotheses are research and null hypothesis.
Yes. Well, there's a way you write it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, please. I don't know if someone can help me out. So, this questioner, is it research hypothesis or non-hypothesis? Since we cannot use the critical value and the calculated value to calculate this, it's just like a statement. So how are we going to know if it's research hypothesis or not hypothesis?
Okay, I think he's referring to. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Null is more like saying discard for instance, from the example from the where he said that affects
on my head.
Please, I can't hear you clearly.
Okay.
Dr. Sheye, it seems as if maybe something is interference with your network, like an electrical interference. So it's sounding as if the microphone is being muted and at the same time having problems.
1 second.
Are you actually using iPad or phone?
Yeah, I'm using my phone. I'm actually I'm in. So hold on.
Or maybe there is an electrical appliances that is magnetic. It's kind of drawing the magnet.
Connected to my phone. I'm charging my phone.
That is exactly what actually happened. The electrical something is actually the one we're hearing underneath.
Probably you should remove the charger for a while. Hello, please.
Yeah,
I want to make an observation. Sorry, I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, speak.
Okay, I'm looking at the example in the book that on the page 32 that he showed us, and then trying to relate it to the question, because the 2 hypotheses formulated here are not, it doesn't include the null. So I'm thinking that in this question, we are supposed to formulate 2 hypotheses that could be applied to this particular case. Okay. And I just want to give 2 examples that I can see. For example, we see that there is significant relationship between the woeful performance of senior secondary school students in Lagos, between school indiscipline and the woeful performance of the senior secondary school students in Lagos public schools. Then we can also say, then we can also say there is a significant influence of school indiscipline on the academic performance of senior secondary students.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so I'm thinking that it's not the null and the research hypothesis. Yes, I think it's two possible research hypotheses that we can get out of this. I think that's what the question is.
It's all about, okay.
You're right.
But you are the one adding academics now.
No, there
have
is so many ways we can. Sorry, there's no.
Okay.
We have various perceptions in which you can draw out those the what hypothesis out from that question given to you.
Yes,
I
sir.
think that's what she's trying to say. So you understand? You can see from different perspectives. That's what she's trying to call out.
All right. Which means we can have research hypothesis, but we're not likely to going to have the null.
Well, exactly. In some.
The question doesn't ask for null. That's my concern.
It doesn't ask for null.
Doesn't ask for the
Don't
null.
draw out. You understand? From that question, two hypotheses. So you can view from many perceptions.
Okay.
Depends on how the direction at which you are looking at the question and how you can do the needful. You get it right?
Okay. All right, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So, Governor, please continue.
But I also think that to every research hypothesis, there should be a null hypothesis. So if you are doing that, you're going to write 4 hypotheses.
Yes.
Yes, you can have more than. This one is talking about to formulate. You understand? So they didn't specify that we should try to indicate the hypothesis and the norm. Are you listening to me now? Just to formulate it out of the questions given to you.
Okay. Madam Ogochiere, is it the same question we have here that's also in the textbook?
No. So the textbook is giving us an example. It's giving us the topic, and then it's giving us 2 hypotheses that you can test on that same topic, not the null. So it's the research hypothesis that we should formulate, not the null. So it's asking us to formulate at least 2 hypotheses that we can test.
Sorry, what I'm trying to find out is that, is the question the same thing as this one that we have in the first question?
No, it's not. I'm just trying to apply what is in the book to the question.
Let me get this straight. Please, are we going to get another variable apart from the one giving that question?
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Okay,
are we to get another variable to add to it? That's what I'm asking.
No.
But the question says formulate.
All right.
You formulate.
Please, okay.
Excuse me, I think we are getting it wrong. I think so. Because the question said formulate at least 2 hypotheses. It didn't state formulate at least 2 research hypotheses. It says formulate at least 2 hypotheses. And even for
it's 2
our
hypotheses from the question.
Yes, it is not research hypothesis. So to formulate an hypothesis, you have your research hypothesis and you have your null hypothesis. So you state the 2 there. Because looking at the variables, we have one independent and one dependent variable here.
Okay. So please, can you help us out, please,
for
sister?
the other one that we had 2 independent variables and 1 dependent variable. We can have 2 research hypotheses for those ones.
Okay.
And 1 null hypothesis. But for this one now, we have just 1 independent variable and we have 1 dependent variable. So what I think we are supposed to do here is just to mention 1 research hypothesis and 1 null hypothesis. In my own opinion, that's what
we have mentioned 1 research hypothesis. Can you please give us 1 null hypothesis now?
It's just
so
the opposite.
Research hypothesis.
The opposite.
The null hypothesis.
There is no significant. There is no significant influence.
Exactly.
The first one is there is. The first one is there is. The other
So
one
the
is there
null
is
hypothesis
no.
is just the opposite.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the host is
Sorry,
back now.
please, can I say something? I think, are we working from the pack of questions we have? Because I'm seeing another one that says clearly, formulate two null hypotheses. And in that question, is the one for 2017-2018, and it has only one independent variable and one dependent, but it's asking us to formulate two null hypotheses. It clearly states it there to be tested.
2017, 2018.
Yes, the first question.
Formulate two null hypotheses to test. Okay, so what's the question? Rampant harassment of female. Among the reasons adduced for this state of affair was the fact that there is poor value orientation among lecturers. So as a result, so whatever, okay. So we have just how many variables here now? Sexual harassment, right? And state of affairs. Okay, and for this state of affairs.
Poor value orientation.
Okay.
Those are the
okay,
only
so those
two.
are the only.
Yes, but yes,
and instead we should
formulate two null hypotheses out of it.
Okay, so who can help us with the second? As it is now, I can only tell you one. Somebody else, please, to assist us. Two null hypotheses. Well, I'll start that question. Maybe I'll go back and look at it. I don't have the answer here. I don't think I've thought of it. I've not seen that question really.
Yes, give us the first one so that we can have an insight on how to formulate the second one.
Okay, let's look at year 2017, 2018. If anybody is there. So your why, your what, all right, your who, and your where. Okay, so let's go. Why? Okay, so okay, rampant cases of sexual harassment, that's one, sexual harassment, right? On what? Sexual harassment on what? On poor value orientation, right? Okay, so it's sexual harassment, poor value orientation.
Sorry, can you please clear your board so we?
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Because we've not finished that question, that's why I didn't really want to clear, but it's okay. I'll clear the bottom because we might need to go back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Some of us are using some. Thank you.
So why not let us finish the first question?
No, they raised a question, so we can look at this. Since it's the same type of question, just to have a whatever. We might not answer it in full, but at least let's just, because the questions almost are, they're like the same thing. But this one is just stating. So who will help us with the why? Let somebody else help us with the why. Okay, let's start with the who. Sorry, what? Help us with the what? The variables. Sexual harassment versus what?
Values. Poor values.
Poor value. So which one is the independent? Which one is dependent?
Dependent will be poor values, while the independent will be.
You said it's dependent, and you said it's independent. Is that true?
That's the way I view it. Poor value. Okay.
I'm not sure it's true.
Okay.
Rampant case is independent.
Aha. You see why we need to look at this thing critically well. So that's why if you're not careful, you will jump. So that's why I say let's be writing it out one by one. Which one is affecting what? They say among the reason, that's the cause. The reason is the cause. So what's the cause? Cause is what?
Independent.
Cause is what? Independent or dependent?
Independent.
Cause is independent. So that means poor value will be independent, is the cause. And this will be dependent. Are we together?
Yes.
So if you don't know, then who is it?
The female student.
Female students. Where?
The university.
Where is it happening?
University. We just said the university.
Harassment of female students.
In a university.
Well, since
The
they
name
didn't
of
write
the
it,
university is withheld. Just in a university.
Okay, so in a university. Okay, so if you want to write this topic now, what do we use? Is it also influence?
It's still influence.
Okay, so
because they're not going to be manipulating anything.
So what we have now is what? The influence of what on what? PV.
Hello.
Yeah.
The influence of all values.
On
sexual harassment
of male students.
of students in the university, or female students in the university.
Among female students in a university.
Female students. Okay. Okay, university, Abi. All right, so this is our topic. So what will be our hypothesis? Normally, the real hypothesis, which is the research hypothesis, should have been that there's significant, right, influence of this on this. But the null will now be that there is no significant.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to confirm if anybody is hearing me. I've been saying hello since nobody.
I think you were muted. So.
Huh? No, if my speaker is all right. Just continue.
Okay, so that's it, Abi. So there's no significant, right? Influence of PVU on SH among, so that I think that's it. That's the one I know. This is the one I know. So I don't know whichever one again.
There is no more significant what?
There is no significant influence.
Okay.
Of PVO on SH among female students. Are we good with that? That's the one I know. So I don't know if there's any other. Now, that question says identify the variables in each hypothesis. So I don't know how you want to get two variables because there's only one variable here. Huh?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So earlier on, I'd reached out to someone that basically did something like research. Okay. Person is currently, I think, like a doctor or something, regarding these questions. Okay. And so regarding the null hypothesis, what the person has suggested or what the person said is you're supposed to look for variables that are outside of what has been listed.
Okay, you see.
So maybe something like, for instance, this the poor value orientation, you can look for other variables that are common among lecturers. Since it's that you are trying to go against
like wanted and unwanted.
Unwanted. You see, even me, I don't have that idea. Thank you. God bless you.
I was also okay.
That is.
Thank you very much. I think that's it.
So I think that helps us. That really helps us.
Please, can you come again? I didn't get that.
I've been blessed with that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. For the benefit of everyone here, please, can you please go one by one?
Okay. So, basically, thank you. Okay, so basically, what we have here is our real, what do we call it now? Our independent and dependent variable. But like we said, you know, the independent variable has wanted, independent variable has wanted and unwanted. Abi? And unwanted itself has the unwanted itself and the nuisance people. Abi? Nuisance value. So because this is our real variable for independent, but we still have some other variables that might be acting alike. So that's what this person that just helped us just made clear to us now, that we look for other variables which are independent but unwanted, which might also be having the same effect as our wanted independent variable. So if you've been going on, if you've been coming along with us from the beginning, I think this place should be easy to understand now. So if, for instance, what we have is the influence of is this school in discipline? Oh, sorry, we're in a different question. I've cleaned it too. Chai. Okay. Please, what's that our listening again? The influence of what on what? The influence of
Poor value
orientation.
Okay, poor value orientation on
Sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment. So we are saying what other things can bring about sexual harassment apart from poor value orientation that has almost the same effect as poor value orientation.
Can we say indecent dressing?
Yeah, indecent dressing. Cleavage opening. Underskirt wearing, yes. What other thing? Can somebody else help us with something else? What other
Okay,
thing?
sorry. I think it's important to also that we are looking for something that is on the lecturer, not something on the students. So we are looking for things that can cause a lecturer to harass a student. So something that works for the lecturer.
Okay.
So it has to be connected to the lecturer because the poor value that is affecting the lecturer. Okay. Yes. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so
what
other things?
Corruption.
Corruption.
Low grade. Low grade.
Low what?
Low grade or poor grades.
Abuse of power.
Is that one affecting the lecturer?
No. Abuse of power.
Okay, abuse of power.
Yeah.
Greed.
What of lack of
around the students?
You know, one of the things that affect the lecturer is poor value orientation. So we're saying which other thing can make a lecturer harass students? If it's not corrupt.
Hello.
Yes.
Lack of self-control.
Lack of self-control. Yes.
I said self-control.
Thank you. So no matter what they do, some people will still, if you like, orientate them past orientation. Some people will still go and be harassing students sexually. So we're saying what other theme is that, you know, has that same magnitude? Okay, so I think that clarifies it. So we can now pick
lobbying for grade or marks.
No, that's for the students.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's for students, but does that affect is that affecting the lecturer? Because we're looking at the lecturer as a person. What would cause a lecturer to have this?
Okay.
Like somebody just suggested. So we're saying
okay. Another thing is marital status.
Marital status of the lecturer. Maybe his wife left him and he's home alone.
Does that really matter?
Well, it does sometimes.
I don't think so.
People are married with their wife.
You know why I will agree?
It's a research. So let's research that.
You know why I will agree?
I'm with you, sir.
You know why I will agree? Because it's still a research. We have not even concluded whether yes or no, basically. So what we are saying is we are still going to, the hypothesis will now be that there's significant influence of marriage, whatever, whatever. You understand?
We can't hear you.
OLUFEMI, your audio is lost.
You are muted.
We can no longer hear you.
Okay, sorry, please. Sorry. So I'm saying that we are saying there is no significant PVO. That's the original research. That's the real independent variable. But these other ones that are also by the side, we are saying, okay, let's pick it. That means if we want to look at the research hypothesis here, it will be that there is significant maybe act of corruption on this. That will be the research. But the null of this will now be there is no significant, do you understand? The act of corruption. If we look at the second one, the research one will be there is significant abuse of power. The null here will now be there is no significant abuse of power. Right? If we look at this next one, there's significant lack of whatever. The null will now be there is no significant lack of. So if they say pick two significant, we just pick this first one and pick one of the insignificant from this side.
Which is the none?
Yes, which is the null. Since he's asking for no, he can also tell us that we should pick two research hypotheses. That's why
hypothesis and one no.
Yes. Okay. Instead of saying no. So thank God that somebody helped us here, and that's why we need everybody to talk, please.
All right.
So going back to the first question, so if we see where it says formulate two hypotheses, I'm just suggesting that we shouldn't assume that it's one research and one no.
You are absolutely right. Don't assume, but that's what I knew before. So I just picked it to make life easy. But with what we've learned now, I think we can infer, we can make better judgments now. All right, can we quickly look at the next question from the initial year that we're looking at? Okay, so if you look at this one that we just dealt with in 2017, 2018, it asks to identify the variables of each hypothesis. So that's easy already. We've done that based on what we did now. So the variables of that hypothesis will be the PVO and maybe corruption, or you're picking PVO and abuse of power. You understand? So I think that makes it easy, right? Are we together? I'm the only one here.
We are together.
Yes, that's fine.
Together.
Okay, so let's quickly look at what type of research design. Basically, research designs depend on the type of research. So since our research here is, if you look at your notes, there are different types of research designs, all right? Okay, so like I said, there are different research designs for there are different listen. For descriptive design, like this design we're dealing with now, since we said is survey. If you look at that, your note where you wrote research design and methodology, on the second top paragraph, you wrote something. He said usually survey inferential research design is used. It is an umbrella concept that hides various levels of ineptitude of researchers that use it. Are we together? Have we seen it? Chapter 6.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so on my own page is page 33. I don't know, on your own page, that means will be the next one after
32.
where we left the other time.
32.
So it will be 32, okay, on your own page. Okay, so if you look at the second paragraph, that's where he wrote that. Say usually survey inferential research design is used. He said because it's like an umbrella. It can be used for other designs too. It's like a general covering. You understand? But if you look at your notes, it talks about all the different research designs. If you're doing correlational, there's a different research design. If you're doing
experimental.
So he wrote that there are different, and each design comes with its own
unique.
Each research comes with its own design. You understand? Basically, from what I saw in the note, it was just like if it is causal, if it's correlational, then it's correlational research design. If it is causal, then you use the X factor or something like that. Research design. I don't know. Can somebody quickly look at it in the notes? Is somebody there in the notes? Okay, he said if it's descriptive, you use descriptive research design. If it's correlational, you use correlational research design. If it's causal comparative, you use ex post factor. Have we seen it? Then if it's experimental, use experimental design. You've not seen it in your notes? In your notebook, if you have the notebook.
Not the textbook.
Not test. I'm reading notebook now. I'm comparing all. Notebook, if you have your on the 7th of March 2020. Note for the 7th of March 2020. I think it's note for 7th of March 2020. They talked about research design there.
I was not in class then.
Okay, I think I was fortunate to have the notes. So if you don't have the notes, you can just take it down. Is that for the research design? If you are doing descriptive research, it's descriptive research design. If you are doing correlational, it's correlational research design. If you are doing causal comparative, it is ex post factor research design. And if you are doing experimental, it's experimental design. And there are 3 types of experimental design. You have the pretext, post-text.
Pre-test, post.
You have the post-test only.
Post-test only, and you have the
Thank you.
Solomon for group research design.
God bless you. So please just take notes and put it by the side of your note or your textbook so that as you go over your study again. Children,
Hello.
I said I don't want anybody talking.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello, can you help us to snapshot it and put it on the platform so that we can see it clearly?
In fact, I don't know
Okay,
whether
I have
that's
a question,
possible. Please, anybody that has the notes, can you send it to the group chat on the WhatsApp, please? Just send it to the WhatsApp for those who don't have it. You can snap that part and send it to them, to the group chat.
I have a question.
Yes, please, go ahead, go ahead.
What are the factors to be considered in a situation like this, in this Lagos State Governor question, before you can know that the research design, or before you can conclude that is survey influential?
Can somebody help us with that? I think we discussed that earlier. Can somebody who understands it help us? Oh yeah, please. We've spent a lot of time on.
The time we have spent is so meaningful.
You can continue if there is no response. Are we still there?
Okay, sorry, can somebody hear me? So we are saying there are different types of design, from descriptive to correlational to causal, correlational to what's the experimental. So we're saying each of these design, if you look at it, you'll be able to tell. For instance, we said descriptive only describes, right? Something has happened, you're just telling what has happened. Whether historical, whether case study, you understand? You're just telling, oh, something has happened. Something affected something, and something, that's what you're doing. But when you come to correlational, you want to look at the relationship. Is the relationship a tight relationship? What even, how deep is the relationship? Those are the kind of things you're looking at in correlational. But in the causal, you're looking at the relationship as well, but you're looking at what caused it. You understand? So that's causal. Then experimental is the one we've been discussing, where you must have two conditions, which is your randomization and your control of variance. So basically that's it. So that would determine, but most of the questions is giving us here, they are descriptive. Okay, so let's just quickly move forward. So I think we've answered that question. Just use survey.
Please, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So sorry to take us back. So for this design now, is it going to be descriptive research design or survey inferential
I think you can use any.
research design?
You can use any. It's a descriptive design, so research. So you can use descriptive research. But in his book, he made reference to it that survey, because this descriptive is survey, right?
Okay.
So that's why if you use descriptive, it's just general. I don't know, it might pass. But since it's survey, to bring it down to her. So he's saying in his book that usually survey inferential research design is used. So that's why I just feel save myself the trouble.
Or is it safe to write both?
You can't. He said you should choose one now. Did they say we should write two? I don't know.
Since you said you can write either descriptive, maybe descriptive survey inferential research design is the one under descriptive. I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know his marking scheme. So maybe one can write. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't tell you what I don't know. I don't know his marking scheme. But all I know is, maybe if he was coming to class again today, we'll have asked some of these questions. But, well, I know God will help us. So that's where we're at.
Hello.
So I think the last one we need to look at is.
I have a question.
Please ask quickly.
Hello.
Move. Ask.
I have a question.
Ask. Oh. Ask.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Ask.
Hello.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Ask.
Can somebody type? We can hear you.
Okay. My question is the research design, is it the same thing as types of design, then types of research? Because the one you're talking about now is type of this research.
Okay. Let me answer that. He said in his book, which we are studying together, every research has a design. So if it is descriptive research, the design you will use is descriptive research design. Okay? If it is,
that will be the answer to that.
Yes. If it is correlational, the design you use is correlational research design. If it is causal comparative, the design you use is ex post factor research. That's the only one that has a different name. Ex post factor research design. If it's experimental, you use experimental research design. But since more of what we're doing is descriptive, we're saying descriptive research, but in his textbook, he made a point there saying usually survey inferential, because that descriptive is a survey. You get, we are taking a sample out of a big this thing. So we're saying, since we are taking a little sample, we are doing a survey, we are saying it's survey inferential research design. So if I'm to answer, that's what I will pick. But
then in this
I'm not guaranteeing the answer.
design, what about this post-test design, pre-test and post-test alone?
That
then
is under
Solomon 4 group.
if
What
what you are
is
if what you are doing is an experimental design, and you know in experimental design you won't be using the influence of, you'll be using effects or impact of in experimental design.
Okay, thank you so
all right
much.
So let's just quickly look at one last one on that question. I think the rest we can try and study it ourselves. Let's look at how to write the what's the name, how to write the reference. I think that shouldn't be difficult. So writing reference, where is
You
that?
have omitted one now.
Which one?
You omitted what type of instrument?
Instruments. I'm not sure I really know much about that,
collect
except if somebody has that. Who knows that well? The instruments too are there, but I've not really looked at that.
Maybe
part of the instruments can be questionnaire and things like that. But
questionnaire.
You can use questionnaire here anyways, but I've really not looked deep at it to be able to say, okay, I can ascertain this is what I think. But I think questionnaire is okay too. Because like you said, if we are looking at this, we set up questionnaire. But that instrument, you not just say questionnaire. I think there's a way you write it. That's why I'm not giving the answer straight like that. Because there's a way you write the questionnaire. I think maybe the detail of the questionnaire that you want to use or something. I don't know if I'm right. Please, anybody who has an idea of what it is to help us. Anybody, please, before we quickly move to the last part of that question.
Okay, so the research instrument here should be questionnaire.
Just questionnaire?
Yes.
Okay.
Except if it's asking, so I know there's a question where it was asking why you want to use a particular thing. So then you might need to now explain,
okay, that's when you now explain why it's a questionnaire. Okay.
Sorry, can we say interviews? Interviews, focus group, observation.
Interview.
Focus group.
Okay.
Okay, so the thing with interview, we are getting a lot of data. So there's a level of skill that is needed for you to now get your conclusions from it.
Okay. And I think interview is used more with qualitative. I think interviews is used more with qualitative research, not quantitative.
Yes, I think that's true. It's used more with qualitative than quantitative.
Because I have been on a research group before where we were checking on the use of misoprostol on abortion, and it was qualitative. And I remember we used interviews. We were doing group, all this group discussion, group whatever. We had group discussions, went to the villages. So based on that, I think is more of qualitative for interviews. So questionnaire might pass. Well,
yeah,
we need possibly more grounds if we need to explain. So that means we all need to go back and find out why it's the best option.
Why is questionnaire? Yes.
So that
we need to find out.
So you can prove it yourself. Even after writing it, you can prove it, even if it doesn't ask. If you want to add to your answer and get more marks. Okay. I think that answers that. So the last question on that says, in that study we looked at for 2018-2019, which is the one that is still up here. So can somebody help us with the reference? What will be the reference? Reference, please. Okay, so your surname, right? Comma. Your initials. If there are two initials, you put them, right? Full stop, right? Because they are initials, you put full stop. You are the only one, since it's an exam and you are the only one writing it. And you are the what's the name? You are the one that is a consultant. So of course it should be your name and not another person's name. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, so if we've done that, then the year is this year, right? Are we together? Full stop.
Yes.
Then the topic. Put the topic.
Can't really hear you. What did I hear for?
You can't hear me.
Yes, the network.
Oh, sorry, it's from your end. Okay, surname. After my surname, I put a comma. My initial.
Okay.
I put a full stop. If I have two initials, I write the two of them. Full stop.
Okay.
I put a bracket, the year. I put full stop again. Then the topic.
Okay.
Are we together?
Okay.
Then the topic. Then
Thank
after
you.
the topic, what do I put again? Full stop. Then you put the state. State is what? Lagos. Right? Then you use a what do they call this mark? What do you call that mark? Please, those who understand English.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Let us see the this semicolon.
A semicolon, Abi? Not a colon, okay.
No, it's a colon.
It's a colon, okay, thank you. Please, let's note that, so it's a colon, not a semi. So colon. A colon, then you put the publisher. Let's say Unilag. Publishing. Okay, so that's it. So at least if you can answer this question out of 3 questions, you should have, if it's over 100, you should have 30.
Please, can you repeat the reference again?
Reference, your surname. Ayangbade.
Okay.
Dot, your name. Sunday, sorry, Ayangbade, comma. Your surname, comma. Your initial, since you don't want to write it in full. T. Sunday, you put dot, full stop. Okay?
Okay.
Then, after that, you now write the year. Year is 2021. 21. In brackets. Then you put full stop again. Then write the topic. You write the topic. You put full stop. You write the state. Then you put column. Then the publisher. Now, if you are writing a journal, because I think the year 2017, 2018, the question says, if the study is to be published in Lagos Journal of Education, it says review volume 22 and all that. So to write for journal, you just start the same way you have written everything, but you won't write Lagos and you won't write Lagos, the publishing. So what you just write with journal, does anybody have an idea? What do we write with journal?
So it will be the name of the journal. That's Lagos Journal of Education.
Okay,
Review.
so that will replace this Lagos state. Okay, yes. Lagos.
Then we
journal.
have of Educational Review, comma, then 22, then 4 in brackets.
So 22, 4. What does 22 mean? What does 4 mean?
22 means the volume of the journal.
Aha. So you look at the volume first. You write the volume. Just write the volume. Then in brackets.
In italics.
Hello, I can't hear you.
The volume and the journal title should be in italics.
Volume and what?
And journal title
should be where?
As in said, journal title and volume should be in italics.
Should be in italics.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't really notice that.
It's online, sir.
Okay. From his book, he didn't write that too. So That's why I'm a bit, some things I want to do online. I'm trying to restrain myself so that I don't go beyond the man's scope. But if that's the case, well, I think it can be correct. But based on his book here, for journal, you use the volume, then in brackets, the journal title, then the volume, while putting in bracket the serial number of the volume. So when you write the journal title, you put the serial number in brackets, then comma.
Please, can you write it out, please?
Okay, so we're writing your surname, right, comma, initial, right, full stop, year, in brackets, full stop, topic, right?
No, I understand that one. I'm talking about the journal.
Okay, so the question, sorry, the question says what journal now? The question says review volume 22, number 4. So it will now be,
okay.
It will now be after the topic, right? After the topic, you have Lagos something something journal, right? Abi?
Okay.
Lagos Journal of Education. All right. Lagos Journal of Education, full stop. Sorry,
okay.
Sorry, semicolon, not full stop. You know what we did?
Hello?
We just replaced the Lagos state that we have here.
Hello, excuse me. Hello.
Yes, please.
For the 2017-18 question, it says reference the article using American Psychological Association format.
That's it.
And that format is different from what you.
No, that's the format in his book.
What we have used.
If you look at page 60.
But what the American Psychological Association format says is the name of the author, the year of publication, the page number. Then,
well, please,
that's this one.
My sister, please look at Nwa Dinigwe's book, page 60.
Hey, boy, he's the one that is saying you should use. Okay, that's the format he used in his book.
Page 60.
Yes,
in the book.
There.
Yeah. Page 60 or page 59.
Please leave Google for Google. Use Nwa Dinigwe's format for Nwa Dinigwe.
The reason I'm saying that is because of what he said, using that format. If that's the format he used in his book, then there's no problem.
Use the one in his book.
You see, in his book,
no problem. Now, if that's the way,
no. You are right. I like your tenacity and what you have done. But even in his book, he wrote that's the American.
That's what I wanted to clarify. That's
what he wrote in his book. So everything in his book is the American format. Because if you begin to read in his book, he said there are two formats. He said the first one is the Tobayan referencing style, which has gone out of extinct. But the one that is relevant now is the American standard whatever format.
The one he wrote, his own version.
And that's what he wrote in his book. So
no problem.
I'm trying to be guided.
No problem. I understand.
Okay, sorry, just an observation for that 2017-2018.
Yes.
The referencing, it says you should reference it as a book. So
yes.
I don't know whether you included location.
As a book? Which one, 2017-2018?
Yes, it says if you are to reference the study as
2018-2019.
It means that. Hello,
sorry, 2018-2019. Sorry, 2018-2019.
The book is the first one we did. The book is the first one.
That's what I'm saying. Did you include their location?
Excuse me, brother.
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, somebody saying something, please.
Yes, I just wanted to bring your attention to page 55 in case if the person is with the new handout.
Okay, it's on page 55 of the new handout.
55, and you see that of the reference for books.
Okay. I hope it's the same thing with the new one. What we are saying on this old one. For the journal, is it the same thing? You have the name, that's surname, comma, initial, dot, year, dot, the topic, dot, the journal, whatever. The journal, the publishing journal or something. Then you now have semicolon. You have the volume. You have the page in brackets. comma, then you have the, sorry, you have the volume and the volume number in bracket, then you have the page. Let's say 17 to 20. Is that the same thing you have in the new one? So that maybe that American listing has reflected in the new one.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Then the journal title, I think that one is what should be in italics, because that's the way you wrote it here.
Oh, you wrote italics in that new one?
For the journal title.
The old one here, you didn't write italics for us. So.
Yes, it's in italics.
It's in italics. For the new one.
For the old one, page 60, Abi.
Okay.
For the old one, it's in italics. The title is in italics.
No.
Oh, is there the one that is in italics now? The publisher.
Oh, yes, the publisher, sorry.
The publisher is in italics. For the old one.
That's the title of the journal.
So
anyway,
is it the same? Is it the same for the new one?
Hello?
Those that have the new one, please just let us know so that we need to move forward, please.
Forward.
What I'm
at this time.
Yeah, we'll take a break, definitely.
Is it a whole day?
No, we'll take a break. We can come back maybe another day for the calculation part. I know people are tired.
Okay.
So.
Brother Femi, we really appreciate you.
Sorry, before you round up, pause. For the calculation, are you going to use your proper board, not this sketching? You know, it's as if now, for the calculation, we just want to fix everything, cram it, and go and
the way you are talking, it seems as if you paid for this class.
No, but
please take it easy.
Saying now. No, I'm just
just saying now. She's just joking.
Me too, I'm also joking on you.
I don't think we need to cram. Once you understand those calculations are very simple.
No, I'm just joking. Once you understand the formula, you can interpret the question.
Very simple. Sure, you don't even need the formula.
Chai.
Looking at the question, you start telling yourself what formula to use or what things. Without looking at formula, you start writing. You start working your way to the answer. That will make you remember the formula.
Chai.
It's only in Nigeria that will cram formulas. I don't understand it. You don't need to cram formulas.
It's because of the way the lecturer.
No, don't worry. We won't cram formula by God's grace. You don't need to.
Don't cram.
Thank you so much.
Please cram.
Okay, so can we round up for today?
For emergency.
Yes, we can round up.
Yes,
Yes.
Hello, before we round off, please. Yes. If there are no other questions, I want to suggest that someone among all those people who have benefited from today's lecture should please appreciate the host. You know why I don't want any appreciation. No, don't worry. That is by default. That is by default. Hold on now. The reason is that if you ask who gained most, it is me. So I really want to say thank you to everybody. Don't worry. I said that is by default. Don't worry. Even this one I'm saying is by default. So I want to appreciate everybody for even trusting to be on this platform, and for those who made contributions. God bless you. Right. I have learned, and it has improved whatever I think I knew before. So I appreciate everyone, and God bless everyone. All right. So I think
thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
Please, that can get the recording, please. Please, that can get the recording.
I'll exactly post it on or maybe YouTube. Telegram. Share the link or something. I don't know how what. Which way is better? If I share it on Telegram, will not be too heavy. I think on Telegram will be better. Can I upload on YouTube and give the YouTube?
No, not YouTube. Telegram.
Okay, I should just send it to Telegram.
Yes. Telegram is better.
Telegram is better.
It will be too heavy on Telegram, I guess.
This is 3 hours.
Because this is about 3 hours or so.
This is 3 hours. Can't you break it?
No, anyone that works for that.
Okay, wait. Can I get Telegram on my laptop?
Yes.
Why not?
Okay,
yes, you can.
Just like web.
WhatsApp. Yes.
Web Telegram too. Okay, I'll try it. I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's pray. We started with We started with prayer. Let's pray now.
Okay.
Lord,
Yes,
we thank you,
sir.
Lord, for this section. We appreciate you for what you have done. Accept our praises in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
The scriptures say horses are prepared for battle, but safety is of the Lord.
Yes, so.
So we pray at this season that as we are getting ready, God grant unto us safety in arena of success in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Amen.
And may you continue to bless all members of this class in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
And bless Professor Iwadinigwe in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Thank you so much. God bless
Okay,
you.
so
Till we meet.
please, sorry, a quick announcement. It might be on Monday. I'll let the class rep know if it's possible. We have
No
it on
wahala.
Monday. If there's no class for anybody and I don't want it to disturb any other class.
It's Monday in the evening, Abby.
Yes. If there's no other
Monday
class.
as in tomorrow.
Yes, if there's no class.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
So let's tackle the calculations and go and
class
read
tomorrow.
other subjects. Okay,
That's
thank
good.
you all. God love you all.
I trust you. Thank
Signing
you.
out now. Thank you.